tīmata. Ai, kai te kā.
Kia ora tātou, mai haere mai. Mai rai ngā mana e ngā reo. This is a session called No Time to Buffer Reo ā-waha. Pretty much essential principles to accelerate reo. Māua kuna kau gali tēnei, tēnā kia koutou katoa. He kai mahi māua, kai takawai ngā māua no tātai aho rau, Core Education Limited. And this is a presentation that we offered at the ULEARN 2014 in the Rotorua. So first of all, we'd just like to draw your attention to two links you'll see in the top left-hand corner and right-hand corner of the opening slide. Link to prayers, the link to this presentation. You'll find that link there. And the second one on the right, collaborative doc, that's where we'd like you to input some of the activities that you'll be involved in today. Haere mai.
Ka pai. So we're going to invite you just to press pause and go and set yourselves up in those links. As you can see, I'm sitting in a hotel on a floor and got my mate, the fire extinguisher, beside me, and a pretty dodgy internet access. So we might be cutting in and out. So we just ask for your patience. Okay, so if you press pause, do your thing, and come back to us. Ka pai. Hoki mai, hoki mai. Just before we start, we've got a few links in here for you guys. Reo atu reo mai. This is sort of just online modules that we've put together for kaiako and Māori medium, and it's housed in the VLN. So if you press your cursor on the icon, it'll come up, and we invite you to join us on the VLN, and join the VLN if you haven't joined before. We also link to Facebook, so we've got a Facebook page where we send out messages, different snippets of reo, and we link in all the tweets that we send out. So ki waha, kupu whakarite, whakatauki, rārangi kupu, just anything to do with the reo, especially for kaiako and Māori medium education. So follow us at these links.
Okay, kia ora. So we thought first to start off our presentation. Obviously, we would like to introduce ourselves. So we've used some of the applications and web-based tools that you might like to have a little tutu with, which is probably the main theme of today. All tutu means more understanding, so hopefully through some of these applications that focus on the oral language, will become more accustomed and maybe even experts in some of those applications. So Nicole's will be first, and then mine will follow.
Alright, so normally we'd, and if it was a sort of like a live face-to-face thing, we'd invite people to throw in, to stand up and do their pepeha, but we're going to invite you somewhere near the end and give you the opportunity to use some of the apps and in an asynchronous virtual way share who you are. And we've got some examples to show you later. Koe no, ko tēnei tāku, koe tēnei, he uri tēnei no te aitanga māhaki, no rongo mai wahine anō hoki. Ko taku kuru pounamu, tani rau inea tōnengwa, ana koe ia te pokapua taku au. Ana koe tēnei, ko taku pāpaka a John, ko tana māma, taku kuia a Menehi, ana ko hiri ata te ua. Tēnei, ana koe nei taku taha te aitanga māhaki, ana mihi kau ana ki a koutou. So just give you a chance to, if you press pause here, you can jump in and you can watch what I've done. And this is a digital mihi. And these are fantastic ways to do mihi pepeha in a really different way, a really engaging way with our tamariki and even with adults. So I've done an animoto down here. I've used Comic Life in here. And so that you get to see the whole thing, I've used QuickTime, which is the QuickTime player, and I've used a screen recording, which we're using at the moment to record this, to capture this, and then I uploaded it to YouTube. Sounds all really complicated, but all the instructions on how to do all of this are on YouTube, and there's some wee links here as well. We're going to talk you through some of that.
Kia ora, ko tararo te maunga, ko mana watu te awa, rangitāne me raukaua ngā iwi. Hei te mea ka roa tāku nā rea, ka hoki atu ki ana kāu I te mea. So my short little snippet is using animoto, which is in Nicole's presentation of yourself, and I'm not too much of an expert on the others, so I'll leave it there.
Mā te tutu, mā te tutu. Ka pai, just a quick hello from our team. Here we are, and there's some information about who we are and what we do. But again, all the links are in there for you to go and check out in your own time. Reo ā-waha. Pēki kaupapa, big kaupapa in our kura. But yeah, hohipa.
Yeah, so at this moment, like in our presentation at Yulun this year, it was an opportunity for those participants in the session to join in discussion and record things that are working really well in their classroom in regards to the oral language programs and other aspects around the classroom, even out of the classroom, and also the challenges and how they've addressed them. So you'll also see on this slide, page number 7, the document that we pointed out in the intro, a collaborative document. So this is another chance for you to press pause on this recording and jump into that doc and share the successes and challenges you've encountered in your classroom, even across your school, and yeah, so we'll give you some time for that.
Ka pai, hoki mai rā. Now, why is te reo ā-waha a really important kaupapa? I mean, a lot of the things that our kaiako talked about, who came to our session and all around, we work in a lot of schools around New Zealand. Te reo ā-waha is the biggest challenge at the moment, is building proficiency. Some of the challenges that they talked about were the backgrounds, the reo backgrounds of the kids. So they're coming from English-speaking homes, English-speaking communities, coming into kura with just sort of at different levels of oral proficiency, which is there's sort of knock-on challenges when it comes to reading and writing as well. And those of you in Māori medium would have may have participated in the OTJ workshops, and this was one of the key messages up top here that they talked about is children, tamariki can't write what they can't say. So our literacy programs need to be underpinned by te reo ā-waha. And the catch-22 is our biggest problem and biggest challenge, and we need lots of ideas. So that's what we're going to be talking about today is utilising some tools, some digital tools to encourage our tamariki, inspire them, and make it a lot of fun. And so I think that one of the other things, if you look at the statistics for te reo Māori, and this is at the adult level, The Stats New Zealand and the Health of Māori Language Survey show that there's less than 10% of our Māori population who are highly proficient at Te Reo Māori, and only around 25% can have conversations about everyday topics. So and 10% of those really proficient speakers. So approximately 75, 3/4 of Māori have only a few words and a few small phrases. So and it all starts with te reo ā-waha. So and our kids are the up and coming generation. It's really up to us to get them talking, and these digital tools really are inspiring our kids. Another thing here is I've got this little iceberg, and this is representative of a theory called Bix and Kelp. So the tip of the iceberg is sort of that productive language that you can hear. The Bix is basic interpersonal communication skills. So that's that foundation type of language. It's the language that you hear every day, and it's that concrete survival language. That's another thing it's a survival language. Kelp is our cognitive academic language proficiency, and this is even more important for our kids in Māori medium education, because we teach our Te Reo Māori is the vehicle for them to learn, and so if they don't have that Bix isn't really solid, that basic interpersonal communication survival language isn't solid, then they're going to have real difficulty taking on that cognitive language, the language of education. And again, it all starts with that basic ā-waha oral language.
So following on from Nicole there, some of our language experts of the time, Wharehuia Milroy, he says, whakaokia mai te reo I te mata o te pene, I te mata o te arero. So how we've become quite entranced, I guess, with ensuring that the language is written through the periods that there have been no written language. It's been sort of drawing us or leading us astray from the actual purpose of how we transmitted our language, and that was orally and orally. So that's quite an important comment there from Wharehuia. And our Timothy Karetu, ka ora te reo ki te kōrero tia. I think it's self-explanatory. Without the language being spoken, it's a waste of time having all these books and libraries that hold these books. So strong comments that need to be followed, I guess. So, kia ora.
Okay, so ka pai, kia ora. So another thing that we've done in our collaborative doc here, we've added a space for any whakatauki, any proverbs or whakatauaki about Te Reo Māori. So we've dropped some in here that might be helpful for you guys, but it would be amazing if you could share some others. So they might not even be Māori or English ones. Some that have come from other Indigenous languages, but these are always really useful to have. Okay, haere tonu. Another reason why it's really important, especially in Māori medium education, here's a link to Education Counts, and this is looking at the data that is coming out of ngā whanake tangarūmaki Māori, or the Māori national standards equivalent in Māori medium. And it's not looking so flash in kōrero. So you can see that overall, our between 2012 and 2013, our ā-waha our oral proficiency in the assessment, aro matawai, has regressed, and we're not doing so flash. So again, invite you just to pause and invite you just to pause and take a look at this link here, and it's pretty obvious why we need to be looking at te reo ā-waha. Now, what I wanted to do is introduce you to this guy. His name is Rod Ellis. He is, I like to say that he's my boyfriend, because he really spins my second language acquisition wheels. I've been teaching a long time in schools, on marae, in Polytech, and at university, and I taught how I was taught, and it took me a long time to take te reo Māori, to acquire te reo Māori. I lived over in Germany, and within a couple of months I was fairly fluent. I had that Bix down packed within a couple of months. So it gave me two views of two different ways that I've acquired two different languages, two different second languages. And really, what I loved about Rod Ellis, is he's come up with, instead of these books and libraries chock full of advice for second language acquisition, for teachers and how to teach, but he's come up with 10 simple principles. Well, they're not actually so simple, they're a little bit convoluted, but once you get past the jargon, it's really easy. So if you follow this link here, there's a fuller explanation of his 10 principles, but they totally turned my teaching on its head. Now, there's a million ways, as you can see, there's a million different ways to skin a cat, there's a million different ways to learn a language, and some ways are better than others. So if you can use these 10 principles as a filter, and as a teacher, you will already have a lot of really effective tools in your kete whakaako. But this will enable you, these principles will enable you to focus more on some of the really good practices that you already have, and to explore some other practices. So some of the things that he says is learn, reo, and formulaic chunks. This was one of my massive mistakes. As a teacher, I had my students learn lists and lists and lists and lists of vocab, which had to do really with what wasn't really a focused vocab, but I made them learn them every week, and then we had a sentence pattern that we learned either in a class or several over a week's period. And so although they knew lots of words and they knew lots of structures and they could write those structures really well, they couldn't piece them together and speak. So although he says in the second one it's really important to learn the rules, you don't need to start just with the rules and just with words. So you can learn things in big chunks. So like kai te pēhia koe, ka nui te pai, te mutunga ke mai o te pai. So just big chunks of language depending on what your kaupapa is. And again, so kaupapa, just talked about kaupapa, make context meaningful, not meaningful. So that was another one of my mistakes. I would get them to practice the structures until they had them, and they could write out a whole heap of structures, and they'd be perfect. But they weren't meaningful. So when they come to use them, they couldn't use them spontaneously, because their head would have to be in 15 different places to say one sentence. A comprehensible input, make input, so the language that you're feeding, make it more input. So for example, if I was to sit here and speak in Māori in a monotone voice with no hand actions, then those of you who aren't very fluent wouldn't understand a lot. But if I was more expressive and used my hands and pointed at things and said, hate and whatu and mene, it's much more meaningful. So it's looking at lots of different strategies. Lots of opportunity for them to use language. So whoever your learners are, lots of opportunity for them to use it, whether it's one way, like doing your mihi, and interaction. Okay, so in a lot of our settings, especially our English medium, we focus a lot on mihi, which is fabulous because it's tikanga, it's a really important thing to know, but that is just one way. We also need to be doing two ways, so thinking of lots of different ways that they can have conversations and interact and collaborate. Okay, and that's what is underpinning lots of the apps that we've shared with you in the doc. Ari Sumo, we'll come back to that at another time. We invite you to go and hook up with us on Reo Watu Reo Mai. We use Ari Sumo, which is another mechanism and to make second language acquisition theory a lot more consumable. Okay, let's get down to some fun stuff.
Oh, jump into the apps now?
Yep.
Okay. For myself, I'll just draw your attention to two for the moment. And like been trying to reiterate, just pause it when we get to one of the apps and you can go away and try it or have a look at each of them, whichever way you want to go about it. So my first one will be Talking Garfield.
Talking Garfield. So just before we jump onto that, just wanted if you hit on all of these. Oh, hit on some of them. Maybe I need to go back. But some of them have been hyperlinked. But if you have a look underneath, there are. I'll just make it a bit. So for each of these, there are workshops, little tutorials online, and some examples. So we're not going to go through all of them, but as Hohepa talked about earlier, this is all about tutu time, and we've designed this so that you can spend your own time, go through at your own pace, and just keep going back and back and back to the ones that make sense for you and are going to spin your kids' wheels.
Yeah.
Okay.
And just before I go into my first activity, reiterating that these tools are exactly what they are. They're just tools, so it needs to come down to the learning outcome or actual purpose of your activity and where you want to take your kids. So for the Garfield activity tool,
do you want me to play it?
The child in the video clip is my daughter, and her current sort of need, if you might want to put it in a better way, is that her reading is okay, however she's still celebrificating her language, so she can read fine, however she needs to read them in the chunks that they are, the full word. So this activity was to help make it a little bit more fun and help her hear back how she was saying it to help improve her pronunciation and joining of her words, I guess, letters.
Right. I'm playing.
Tēnei te pūmano a tautoro, kōrero Garfield te. Tēnā, oe tō ingoa?
So you guys might not be able to hear it so well, but follow the link and it's all in there and you can see what she's doing. Okay, so I'm just going to leave it there because the sound isn't great, but
to get the picture.
Get the picture, that's the one. Did you want to show the next one? Talk through the
Fantastic. One fun thing that my girl likes is creating stories. So the fun thing about Toontastics is that yes, it does have a lot of English in there, but you can go into the settings and mute that, so that won't be an issue. However, just some of the sequences for the story time, for the story creating, you just have to bear with that and make sure that I guess you've set it up beforehand for the children. So yeah, she likes recording her oral storytelling. That's pretty much what this helps for her.
Cool. So I'm just going to flip over to the YouTube clip, and again, all the links and the tutorial is on there for you guys to check out.
Tamariki, ki te whakatako tō kōrero, ā-waha, whakaari nei hoki.
Oh, thank you.
Kia ora, koe tō ingoa.
Ko puto rin sa
Tēnā koe, kei te aha koe. Mai, mahia mai. Ia te tika mo kene whakaari. Whakaari ki te wera.
Okay, again, I'm going to pause here, and it'd be way better if you guys can just jump in and have a look at the link. These are really fantastic ones, and our kaiako who came along to the U-Learn got a huge amount of value of seeing the you know, a real live tamaiti playing and seeing what is possible in here, which I'm sure you'll see the value in as well. Hoki doki. If we, oops, wrong one. Jump down. So those, Hohepa was talking about some apps, and apps are fantastic, but not everyone has a smartphone, a t-papa, a tablet, or an e-papa, an iPad. So I just wanted to show a couple of things that you can do, like on Apple Mac, which are really simple. So here is photo booth. So down here, the photo booth, you can just open it up, and you can see there's me there, and I can take a video recording there. Now, some of my kura, they use this as an assessment tool with their tamariki. So they have their tamariki sitting there, and it's a way to capture their reading. And the tamariki love it. They really play up to the camera, and they also work really hard to focus and get it right, because it's going to be captured, and they know that their parents will be able to see it. So it's a source of pride as well. And our kura can link it, put it up onto their YouTube channel, and send the links to their parents. So it's simple, it's just throwing it on there, and when you're ready, when your video's ready, oh, you don't want to watch that, it's quite loud. You can just drop it onto your desktop. It's a fun game that Sabarangatahi no Te Puti were playing. Drop it on your desktop and load it up to YouTube. So down here is this is my son and I teaching some students how to do the Y structure, hea ha'ai, by playing a game. So all the links are there, and your sound might be better than this. But again, so capturing a short tutorial for pāngaro, or some sort of wetereo, or teaching ki-waha, or a little bit about a kaupapa. So that you're creating little rewindable skits, rewindable lessons for your akonga, and putting it on the blog, or the school website, or wherever, sending it via email, however you've got your system set up. These are just like, simple and amazing. The other tool on Apple Macs as well, and the QuickTime's also on Windows machines, but you have to download it. They're automatically on the Macs, is QuickTime Player. This is one of my faves. It's because it's right on the computer, and I used it for my pepeha right up the top, and we're using it at the moment. But again, as I showed you before, you just open up QuickTime Player, and you've got 3 options. New movie recording, and I can do, so if the camera comes up, it's a webcam, you can see my face and record it. An audio recording, so we used this yesterday, and we recorded pre-written skits with learners yesterday, and we shared those on SoundCloud. And then the screen recording, so it can capture whatever it is that the tamariki are working on. So my son has an e-portfolio, so some of the his oral language work is recorded either on QuickTime or on Photo Booth, and it's the link is uploaded onto his e-portfolio for his nanny and koro up north to watch. So there's lots. You've just got to think, how can I use this? How does it make sense in my classroom? And it's the power of these is that you can share learning, what our tamariki are learning with the whānau. Now there's lots of other things in here as well. And there's other tutorials on how to use iMovie. iMovie is fabulous. This is one that we made just one rainy afternoon with my whānau up in Gizzy. And it was heaps of fun. And here is my son and I using, oh gosh, I can't remember, maybe it was Photo Booth again, and we uploaded to our YouTube channel, and here's some links of how to use the YouTube channel. And he was using DeBono's hats just to talk about the good, the bad and the ugly of using iMovie. Okay, so again, time for you to pause and have a bit of a play with either something that Hohepa and I talked about in here, or any of these. Oh, and these are some Web 2 tools, and again, all of the links to tutorials are in there. We invite you to just pause and check some of those out. Okay, welcome back.
Kia ora, hoki mai anō. Okay, so not to try and make this whakapapa too long and drawn out, I've just drawn up what I think is, I guess, a basic structure. It should be in most schools, and obviously it's starting from your graduate profile, which is taken however long to formulate, but it's generally come from the aspirations and dreams of the whānau of your community, and that also contributes to the maraua kura, or the localised curriculum. So I would say that's the whānau's voice. And then come down to the next tier where all the pauako generally meet after they've heard from the families, what they would like covered in the classroom for their tamariki. And so they come together, work out how this is going to work, all the links to the curriculum documents and the national standards, and depending on how each of your school operate, then it might be working in little syndicates, or each pauako going away and planning the activities or units that happen in their classroom. And then right down to, I guess, the final part, or you might say the beginning of this whole thing, is where the child fits in. So they might even work at the beginning of this whole process, where they say what they would like to cover in the term to come, or the weeks to come, and whānau and the pauako will go away and work out how they might address that Otherwise, somewhere in this whole cycle that just keeps rotating back and back. So for each of you in your schools, or in your classroom, I thought I'd share the whakapapa, basic whakapapa. You obviously have your systems in your school, and I'm not saying to break that system. However, what I have tried to, I guess, show is the link. It's the first one on the left-hand side, the bottom left-hand side, and that one there is a template, or possible template where you can show all the links from aspirations of the family, the credit profile, the localised curriculum, right through to even the documents that you'll be working with the marae tanga Aotearoa or ngā whanaketanga. And just the way, I guess, to record and centralise all your guys' planning and things that you might need to share with the whānau or the board. And then finally, the last one, I guess, is just an addition to all the other apps that we've been talking about throughout the presentation. And that final link, Tauira Pai Tukutuku or Kumanua Tautoro Reo ā-waha, I put in each of the apps or Web 2.0 tools.
Wow.
And then briefly added some possible aims from the marautanga that you might want to, that might hit that actual tool, and then once again to the links to the whanaketanga requirements. So I guess this might be another opportunity for you to take a look at both of those documents, see how they fit in with, don't change what you already do, but I guess just to keep in mind,
pimp it. Oops. Cool.
Right? Yeah, so and then moving on to the next slide, I guess it's a good time for you to have a play with any of the tools or applications that we've shared today. But what we would really like you to do is to, whatever you come up with, and even trial in your classroom, if somehow you could find a bit of time to share it with the rest of the people that would like to know, and maybe mirror that in their classrooms, because I guess at the end of the day it's about our tamariki, and yeah.
Ka pai. So you'll see the link again to our collaborative doc, slide 20. So if we go here, oh, there's slide 3, slide 20. So we're talking about digital mihi. So here we go, and here's some examples. So we've got our 2 examples in the presentation, and here's some other examples from kids, from some facilitators, Whare Hoka Wano, who's one of our big rangatira in the company, and from Joe as well. And invitation is to use one of those apps and throw something out. Just give it a go, have a go, whether it's you by yourself, or it would be fabulous to see some of the stuff that you're doing with your kids. So if you want to have a go at some of these digital mihi using one of the apps, be really inspiring if you could share your learning with others, because that's what technology makes available to us. It's the ability to share and learn from each other, not be sitting in the 4 walls of our classroom and feeling like we're doing it and struggling by ourselves. So just that last doc there, at ULearn we asked our kaiako, because they're all really fantastic practitioners, about what's actually working in the classroom, what they've tried with their tamariki and what's really working. And here's some of the ideas that they shared on the day, and we're also just pointing you back to the doc here and slide 21. So if you follow the hyperlink down, if you could add some more snippets of information. That's one of the things, you know, so this is a doc that you guys can come back to and take some morsels away, and we certainly, that's one thing that we do in our job. Our job is to take fantastic things that we see in one kura and share it with another 10 kura. So, koira ka māua, kōrero, kia koutou I tēnei ahi, ko tāku noa, he mihi kou kia koutou katoa I whakarongo pīkari mai, ana te tūmanako ka whai hua ētahi o ēnei maramara kōrero. And one thing that Hohepa and I didn't say at the beginning, but is we're not experts in this area. We didn't do this because we're knowers of everything. One thing we are though, we're real tutu, and our tamariki are real haututu as well. They love having a play with things and looking at things that work for us and are going to work for, especially work for our kids. So, pēr ki mihi kia koutou whakarongo mai nei. Hohepa?
Yep, me tautoko I tuahine. Nā re ko tāku noiho e whakahoki ake pēr ki te whāringi tuatahi tonu, ko te tino he, ko māua tino he hea, kia tipu tēnei whānau
Oi! Oh, te awa nei ko whati. Tēnei. Hei aha. Ka hi te koutou.